Kept you waiting, huh? Sorry for the pause in videos, I've been busy with school. But I've just finished the story for Xenoblade 3. Now I want to talk about this game with you guys as a first impressions sort of thing. I'll talk about general stuff first and save spoiler bits for the end. This video is unscripted and will also have minimal editing because I just want to get this out there. For those new here, this isn't the norm, as I usually script and edit my videos decently well. Although you can judge that for yourself by watching my previous videos and maybe subscribing to the channel. Just saying. You definitely will want to subscribe if you're a Xenoblade fan, because I plan on making videos on each numbered Xenoblade game, sorry X, I don't have a Wii U, in much more detail than what you'll see here. By the way, about the whole minimal editing thing, the whole video is just going to look like this, just images swapping in and out. So, perfect for you to just go into a different tab and do something else while listening to this as background music, background noise, not music. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? I'm just gonna come right out and say that I very much enjoyed this game. I loved it. I loved the story. I loved the gameplay. I'm gonna hold off from saying how it ranks up to the other two games until all the DLC has come out, including new story content. I'm gonna wait until all that's out and I experience it before I give my final judgment. But it's definitely up there. It's definitely a contender for my favorite Xenoblade game, and I feel like that's due in part to how great the battle system is. They definitely. It feels like the perfect fusion between the battle systems of Xenoblade 1 and 2. It definitely takes a lot more from 2's battle system, which I argue is the better one. But they definitely fixed some issues I had with it. Especially with the UI style. Ever since Persona 5 came out, people realized that the style for a game's UI is just as important as the UI itself. And Xenoblade 3 definitely has a stylish UI to it, especially with how they changed the meters for combo stages. Look at that, that's neat. But don't worry, if you forget something, like some part of the battle system that may have slipped under the cracks or you didn't understand, don't worry, there's a tip section where you can just review all this stuff in case you forgot. Thank God they fixed the tutorials. I played Xenoblade 3 like 3 times. You do not understand. I hate those tutorials, man. I eventually got the hang of it, but that's because of Chuck Conroy's video and other tutorial videos. Alright, the game itself did not teach me much. As for what's unique about this game, I definitely like the class system. I like how they simplified it into 3 different archetypes: attack, healer, and defender. I'm not sure how I feel about healers being the only ones who can help up party members who get knocked out. But yeah, may as I play more of the game, I'll get more used to it. It's not that big of a change. But yeah, I like the classes. They've got a great variety between them. It's definitely reminiscent of the blade system from Xenoblade 2, but thankfully there's no luck value in it. You don't have to grab a core crystal and just hope to God you pull Cosmos out of it and not another dark blade for the millionth time. Instead, hero characters are all set in stone. You just have to complete their quest in order for you to get them, or sometimes you just get them through the main story. And it's definitely good. It's definitely a fun system to use. I will say the hero quests in this game are just as beefy as the blade quests in Xenoblade 2, which is not a bad thing. I'm glad that's the case, I definitely like this cast of hero characters, what they have to offer. Another new addition they have for this game is Ouroboros interlinks. You can just have 2 characters fused together, have their own set of arts and moves, and, their own skill trees even, and I don't know, I thought it was really cool. Also, another thing, apparently you could swap between characters mid-fight. I didn't know you could do that until the final boss when I did it by accident. So, for anyone who's watching this video, uh, before getting Xenoblade 3, or at least playing it, don't do what I did. Just know that you can swap characters mid-fight just by holding ZO and pressing left or right. Yeah, I know I'm a dumbass. The world of Ionis is just a spectacle to see, you know? There are a lot of locations that are reminiscent of places from Xenoblade 1 and 2, but it definitely feels like its own world. It's definitely built in a way where it's like you can still see a location and be like, dang, that's beautiful. It just gains more value when when you have more context. But yeah, I'm just surprised this is a Switch game. This shit looks beautiful. Um, the music just it's a Xenoblade game, so yeah, the music is just perfection. Um, it's definitely like the OST for this game is definitely tied for Xenoblade 2 with me. I love Xenoblade 2's soundtrack, and Xenoblade 3 is a lot like it, but it definitely has a lot of tunes that are reminiscent of Xenoblade 1 as well, which works. And I'm not saying Xenoblade 1 didn't have a fantastic score. I think it did too. I know Koshimamura was one of the composers on the first game. Are you kidding me? Of course it had to be good. Yeah, that's basically it for this non-spoiler section. So give you a few seconds to click off before I go into spoilers. But before you go, I will say, please buy this game, play it. If you haven't played the first two games, you don't need to. It's not like Kingdom Hearts 3. It's not like reliant on you knowing the other two games to understand what's going on. But it's one of those sequels where knowing what happens in the previous two games definitely heightens the emotional value of some scenes, especially near the climax. So, yes, I'd recommend playing all these games, but if you only have the time for one, definitely pick up this one. Definitely pick up Xenoblade 3 and play it. And, yeah, I'm just hoping the DLC is good. Alright, spoiler time. Yeah, this story is amazing. It's one of the best stories I've seen in a while, and I say the same about Xenoblade 1 and 2, so good thing it lives up to its predecessors. I just really love how the characters develop, how the story is written, One thing I appreciate about the Xenoblade games is how they handle, like, existential kind of issues, like this whole thing where it's like this is a world where people fight literally to survive. If they don't fight and kill one another, everybody dies. And it's interesting that when those people are free to choose what they want to do, they're kind of at a loss. They don't know what they want, and it's just interesting. There are definitely a lot of different themes going on in this story, a lot of different messages being conveyed. I definitely love the characters. I love how they each give like their own hero quests of sorts. They're called side stories, but they're basically the same thing. Each side story gives us a deeper insight into each of these characters, and even gives them character development or kickstarts character development for them. In the case of the main duo, Noah and Mio, whose side stories are actually part of the main story. It happens sometimes. I definitely like the villains, N and M in particular, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's Takahashi. I don't know how he does it, but he thinks up of every possible way where a world like this could exist, and showcases like every aspect of it in an almost flawless way. With the Colony Zero quest. It shows like, oh yeah, I guess there would be someone who would like try to start wars between the two rival factions to make sure the fighting keeps going. Or in the case of N, how someone who's constantly reborn will eventually just be driven to like cling on to something for eternity. There are a lot of scenes that made me cry. That scene at the end of the prison break where Lance and Senna were about to sacrifice themselves, I was seriously convinced they were gonna die. They that that last half of chapter 5 just really likes to just keep throwing uh death fake out after death fake out on you. You know, they do the lands instead of thing. I really was convinced they were gonna die. Then the whole thing with Mio, where you think, you know, the Mio you've been playing as this whole time died, but really it was just the other one. It's complicated. And then chapter 5 ends on a cliffhanger of N seemingly decapitating Noah, which, I mean, the fact that it got away with doing that every time in like rapid succession is just kind of crazy to me. And yeah, this game definitely got the tears rolling, especially at the end. You know, every JRPG that ends with a song with lyrics always gets tear ducts flowing. Yeah, I will say Zed, not my favorite villain, final boss of the series. Like he's definitely like a cool idea of a villain, just being the personification of fear of the future, of moving on, of the unknown, of what's ahead of you. But I don't know, I just kind of prefer Malice and Jin. Who knows, the extra story that's promised in the expansion pass might change my mind, but I don't know. Malice was definitely a lot more interesting in an existential sort of way, where it's like his hatred towards the world and wanting to destroy it. He always questioned, like, is this really my desire, or was this just Amalthus's desire impressed on me? That kind of thing. I will say though, final boss was kind of cool, and I did manage to beat it with Final Lucky 7. The final phase I beat with Noah's super move, Final Lucky 7, which was awesome, and I wish I recorded it. I was just so overcome with the hype of actually managing to do it that I forgot to press the record button on my Switch. It's fun though. I got this clip of me overkilling one phase of the boss with an Ouroboros finisher of my two favorite characters. Yeah, Lance and Senna are my favorites. I don't know, just I really like their dynamic, and I especially love Lance. I think between the two, Lance is definitely my favorite. That's just because I'm definitely a fan of characters like him who are just want to keep everyone around them safe and sound. You know, just the the big teddy bear basically. I don't know. It's cute. He's cute. Whatever. I definitely love all 6 of the main characters, and it definitely helps that they were all introduced by the end of chapter 1. You know, gave them all equal amounts of screen time, gave them all equal chances to develop. I especially like the arc that the main two, Noah and Mio, go through, especially with Noah and his arc in like the final chapter of the game, saying that he'll fight so everyone can be free to live the life they want. Yeah, I loved his relationship with Mio. That kiss at the end, bro, that tugged on my heartstrings. And then my heart was just destroyed when I saw that photo of the Xenoblade 2 cast. Oh God, oh Jesus. At the end of the day, Lance and Senna are my favorites. Just, I don't know, just really like their dynamic of being muscle buddies. Really like their characters in general. Uni and Tyon had a great relationship as well. I really found their final conversation at the end of the game to be really adorable. I think this is probably the best cast Xenoblade has had, or at least the best main cast. I mean, no one's gonna beat Zeke von Genbu, bringer of chaos, but you know, it's gonna be really hard to top the Zekinator. I'm sorry, Lanzi. I really am. Yeah, that's really about it. Again, I'm sorry that a lot of this video just came off as me rambling. I really wanted to get my first impressions out of the way, and now you guys can compare it to when I make my proper Xenoblade 3 video to see how my opinions have changed. Last few things I want to add before closing off. Action scenes. Probably the best in the series. Just the cinematography in general is just on top of its game. I definitely like a lot of the heroes in this game, a lot of the hero characters. I feel like my favorites were probably Ethel and Kamaravi because the dynamic shared between those two is really endearing. And I also liked Gray because I don't know, I just really like badass old men characters. And I feel like that's the same reason I like Trident, but also because he's goofy. And after reading One Piece, I'm just like, oh, a pirate? That's epic. All right, I like this guy. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. If you've watched all the way to the end, thank you. Please consider subscribing because, like I said, I'm definitely planning on making videos for Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3 down the line. I already have the script written for Xenoblade 1, so shouldn't be too long before that one comes out. Xenoblade 2 might take a while, but that's just because there's a lot more for me to talk about since that's the game that got me into this series. So I definitely want to give it more of a 2 cents because of that. And yeah, I hope you're looking forward to it as much as I am. Until then, take care, everyone. Stay safe.